Hello. On behalf of the Australian Crime Writers Association, welcome to the announcement of the 2021 Ned Kelly Awards for Crime Writing. Before we get started, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country through Australia and recognise their continued connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and acknowledge that the land we are on is, was and always will be Aboriginal land. My name is Christian White. I am an author and a screenwriter, and I will sort of be guiding you through the proceedings tonight. I was lucky enough to win the Ned Kelly Award for Best Crime Fiction last year for my book, The Wife and the Widow. So to be back here in this capacity is actually really, really cool. And genuinely, it's an honor and a career goal. Seriously, if I'm being honest. Of course, because of COVID, I can't be there with you, but I can be here. I'm recording this from my home in Melbourne. We're in lockdown again. That's why I didn't really bother getting too dressed up, by the way. I've just put on my sort of trademark black t-shirt, which is slimming and I think formal enough under the circumstances. I did, however, out of respect to the awards, put on pants, so you can all relax about that. It isn't a prestigious award, the Ned Kellys. The Ned Kellys Awards are sort of, to Australian crime writers, they're like the Oscars. You know, they're a who's who of Aussie crime writers. There's a real level of prestige to the whole thing, which is why actually I'm not going to this is the part where I should really sort of introduce myself and kind of subtly plug what I'm working on. And I'm not going to do that because I just feel that would bring proceedings down a little bit. I like to think of myself as a classy guy, so I'm not going to go there. Hypothetically, if I was going to go there, which I absolutely am certainly not, I probably would tell you that I have a book coming out in October 26th, end of October. It's called Wild Place. It's a crime book, but I'm not going to do that. It'll bring the mood down. It's tacky. Again, hypothetically, I would probably tell you that the TV show Clickbait that I co-created arrives on Netflix on August 25th. But again, that's not what this is about for me. So I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Seriously though, I'm absolutely honoured to be here with you tonight, and let's just get the ball rolling. Let's get started. All right, so we are in for a treat now. Robert Goodman is making the chair's address. Now, Robert Goodman is a long-time reviewer of crime fiction who judged the Ned Kelly Awards for 7 years before formally joining the association committee. Since joining the committee, Robert has been involved in redevelopment of the association website, developing networks with other international crime writing organisations, and the introduction of the Ned Kelly International Award. He became chair of the committee in 2020. Now, here's something that is actually not on his bio. Robert Goodman has a very, very cool sounding name. Doesn't it sound like a character in a book, Robert Goodman? It's really sort of hard and meaty. Rob Goodman, Detective Rob Goodman. That's going up here. Anyway, what the hell am I talking about? Here is Robert Goodman to give the chair's address.
Thank you, Christian. I'm speaking from the lands of the Gadigal people and would like to start by paying my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. On behalf of the Australian Crime Writers Association, I'd like to welcome everyone to this year's Ned Kelly Awards, our annual celebration of Australian crime writing and international crime fiction. As we continue to grapple with the impacts of COVID both in Australia and around the world, many of us continue to rely on the comfort and escape of books. And this is particularly true of crime writing, both fiction and non-fiction. And so it was great to see there are so many authors out there who are meeting our need for new crime writing. 2021 saw the largest number of entries in the Ned Kelly Awards ever, a field of close to 150 entries across our 4 categories, smashing our previous records. But while many of us continue to be affected, we're also finding ways to manage, from a greater reliance on book deliveries to people becoming more comfortable with online book launches and writers' festivals. And while these awards have had a long tradition of intimate nightclub-style events, 2021 once again sees the Ned Kelly Awards online, but available to the world. The Ned Kelly Awards, established to celebrate the best in Australian crime writing, both fiction and non-fiction, are now in their 27th year. The shortlists and winners over those years read like a who's who of Australian crime. Long-standing names like Peter Corris, Helen Garner and Shane Maloney, but also more recently authors like Bree Lee, Emma Biskich, and our host, Christian White. And the plethora of entries this year continues to demonstrate the strength of the Australian crime writing scene. We have 4 awards tonight: Best Debut Crime Fiction, recognising new authors of crime fiction; Best True Crime; Best Crime Fiction; and for the second year, Best International Crime Fiction published in Australia. So if you're looking to discover new Australian crime writing, the shortlists are a good place to start, but they are only the tip of a very large iceberg that is the vibrant and diverse Australian crime writing scene. Now for some well-deserved thank yous. I'd first like to thank everyone who's joined us for this event: writers, publishers, editors, booksellers, and readers. The industry thrives and continues to grow because of your enthusiasm and passion. I want to thank our panels of judges who gave their time, knowledge, and expertise to ensuring that we're able to showcase the best in Australian and international crime writing. Judging is a huge commitment, and I recognise that as the number of entries has increased, that commitment has increased as well. I want to acknowledge our sponsor, Booktopia. Booktopia is proud to promote and celebrate Australian crime writing and Australian crime authors, and continues to ensure that we're able to run and promote these awards. Especially during lockdowns, Booktopia's ability to keep up the supply of books has been a lifeline for many. I want to thank our MC, Christian White, last year's winner of the Ned Kelly Award for Best Crime Fiction for his novel, The Wife and the Widow. And I'd like to acknowledge the work and dedication of the Australian Crime Writers Association Committee. The committee is a group of volunteers scattered across the country who give their time and energy to support and celebrate and promote Australian crime writing. In particular, the committee members contribute their time and expertise to making sure these awards can happen. And finally, I'd like to congratulate all of the shortlisted authors and all of the winners of tonight's awards. They are the pinnacle of yet another exceptional year of new Australian and international crime writing. And now I'll hand you back to Christian.
All right, let's get to our first award. First award for 2021, which is super exciting. It's for Best Debut Crime Fiction. It wasn't very long ago that I was a debut author. My first book came out in 2017, so I remember that feeling very, very well. All the nominees tonight will know that it's this it's incredible feeling getting a book published, and it's a dream come through, and it's everything you'd expect in many ways. It's incredible. But then what you're not quite prepared for, or well, I wasn't prepared for, is this sort of creeping insecurity that comes with it as well. You start to think, well, was it a fluke? People say, oh, I really like your book. And all you can think about is, well, yeah, you like this one, but will you like the next one? Can I even write another one? It's 80,000 words. 80,000 words is a lot of words. And honestly, it's a miracle I wrote 80,000 words in the first place. You've got this imposter syndrome buzzing in your brain. But the one light at the end of the tunnel is you kind of think, well, I'm a debut author. This feeling will pass. This will go away. As my career progresses, I'll start to kind of feel better in my own skin. And the imposter syndrome will go. And now that I'm on the other side of things, I have a couple of books under my belt now. I can tell you that it doesn't go away. The imposter syndrome is here to stay, and it's horrible, and you just have to learn to live with it. I have brought the mood down now. I did not mean to do that, but luckily we have Christina Lee. She will be presenting Best Debut Crime Fiction, and she'll bring the mood up a bit, I'm sure. Now, Christina Lee is a crime fiction tragic. In the 1990s, she co-wrote and published 2 crime novels set in the grim surroundings of Melbourne academia. A lot of people read them. Then she went on to write a number of prize-winning short stories. Then she took, this is an interesting part of her bio, then she took a 35-year break for an academic career. So essentially she's an overachiever. But now finally she's returned to the page. So now she's finishing a lively story of crime, grime, and redemption set against the nightlife of Brisbane's Fortitude Valley. That sounds awesome. I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to find out who wins this award. So take it away, Christina.
I'm very pleased to announce the outcomes for Best Debut Crime Fiction. Firstly, I'd like to thank my co-judges, Ron Blaber and Andy Thompson. I have to say we were all impressed this year by the richness and diversity of what we had to read. We came up with a short list of 4, and here it is. The Good Mother by Ray Cairns, published by Banduri. This is about a Sydney woman, a suspenseful thriller which is set mainly in Ireland. Next, The Second Son by Lorraine Peck, published by Text. This is organised crime clashing with family life in a thriller set in the western suburbs of Sydney. Next is The Bluffs by Kyle Perry, published by Penguin, a complex mystery set in a Tasmanian wilderness town. And then The Night Whister by Greg Woodland, published by Text. Another very different small town mystery, this one set in outback New South Wales. And the award for the best debut crime fiction goes to The Second Son by Lorraine Peck.
I still can't believe it. Kyle, Ray, Greg, we were shortlisted for a Ned Kelly Award. How cool is that? The Australian Crime Writers Association and the judges, thank you. When I was writing the first draft of The Second Son, I was slaying ovarian cancer, and the last draft coincided with me beating breast cancer into submission, and now I'm the recipient of a Ned Kelly Award. So obviously this book is my lucky charm, and I could die happy, but I'm not dying anytime soon because I'm a lucky bitch. And instead, I want to thank all the booksellers out there for giving this book some space on your shelves and for putting it into the hands of your readers, and for the readers for spending your hard-earned dosh on an unknown author, and the media outlets for giving me some space to talk about my book, and to the crime writers community for welcoming me into your arms in this weird time for a newbie author. I can't wait to meet you all in the flesh. My Text publishing team, The Heart, Penny Houston, The Soul, Michael Hayward, my Curtis Brown agents, Alice Lutchins, Pippa Mason, you all believed in this book about a crazy crime family. Thank you. Mum and Dad, Sharon Elliott Dunn, Maz Farrelly, my cheerleaders, my coaches. Without you, I'm not here. And lastly, my darling husband, Stead Denton, my gangster muse, your stories, your endless patience, and for sending me back up here to finish the sequel. Thank you. Jivali. Thanks.
Congratulations, Lorraine. All right, so our next award for tonight is Best True Crime. So I'm a true crime nut. I have been since when I was a teenager, although true crime books were really hard to access back then. You know, you had Anne Rule books, and you had those weird books that you'd find in sort of like dusty corners of bookshops and at the newsagents and places like that, were things like Encyclopedia of Serial Killers and the Big Book of Murder, things like that. Since then, luckily, the genre has boomed. There are so many incredibly well-researched and well-written books being released, 5 of which are nominated tonight. So let's get to it. Now, presenting the Best True Crime Award tonight is Laurie Oakes. So for nearly 50 years, Laurie Oakes reported on Australian politics out of Canberra on television and in print. Known for his news scoops, incisive columns and hard-hitting interviews, he was the doyen of the Federal Parliamentary Press Gallery. A bit of a mouthful. Laurie's retirement 4 years ago enabled him to concentrate on his first love as an enthusiastic reader and student of crime writing. Logically enough, given that his own books about politics betrayed more than a casual interest in where bodies were buried, Laurie is the patron of the Bad Sydney Crime Writing Festival. All right, take it away.
Good evening. I'm Laurie Oakes, and I was one of the judges for the Best True Crime Award. I know my fellow judges, Meg Van and Tara Mitchell, would agree with me that the quality of entries this year was high, very high, a bumper crop. And the pick of the crop for us, well, that's our shortlist. The Husband Poisoner, Hashhead Australia by Tanya Bretherton, is the dark story of a number of women in the years immediately following World War II who believed that thallium, readily available at the time as a colourless, odourless, tasteless rat poison, made possible the perfect murder. There's extra fascination because of the cops who investigated the poisonings, George Ferguson and Frederick Cray. These days, they're remembered as 2 of the most notorious figures in the institutional corruption that afflicted the New South Wales police from the 1940s to the 1970s. Stalking Claremont from HarperCollins Publishers by Brett Christian is about the decades-long hunt for a rapist and serial killer preying on young women in suburban Perth. It features extraordinary police incompetence, devastated but courageous families of victims, 3 lives wrecked by false accusations and the tunnel vision of investigators, and some cutting-edge forensic work that eventually led to a breakthrough. Public Enemies, Allen and Unwin by Mark Dappen cleverly weaves together the stories of the always violent but sometimes also charismatic criminals whose exploits, including daring jailbreaks, so often made headlines during what's been called the golden age of armed robbery in the 1960s, 70s and 80s. The 2 most prominent, of course, were Russell Mad Dog Cox and Raymond John Denning. Dappen delves into their backgrounds, weeds out some of the myths. The subject of Hazelwood, Penguin Australia by Tom Doig, is the fire in the massive Hazelwood open pit brown coal mine in Victoria's Latrobe Valley, which burned out of control for 45 days in 2014. The toxic smoke and ash had devastating consequences for the local community. Doig tells the stories, some heroic, some tragic, of people involved, as well as dealing with issues of corporate responsibility and government indifference and cover-up. Louise Milligan's Witness, Hachette Australia, rounds out the shortlist through court transcripts, interviews with defence and prosecution lawyers, as well as with people who've been through the witness box ringer, plus her own personal experience in a court case under cross-examination. Louise shines a light on the brutal way witnesses are often treated by Australia's criminal justice system. It's a strong case for reform. And the winner is, well, Stalking Claremont. Congratulations to Brett Christian and to HarperCollins.
Hey, the Neddies are awesome. It feels amazing to be in the company of so many accomplished writers. A big thank you to the Australian Crime Writers Association, which does a terrific job in encouraging crime writers, new and old, fiction and non-fiction. You will often see those of us on the true crime spectrum shoplifting something from the crime fiction bookshelves. We plunder the fiction writer's toolbox to recruit suspense, excitement and dread to hopefully turn a true story into a rip-roaring crime mystery. So thanks to all the fiction writers who have gone before with your fine writing styles and wild and gruesome imaginations. In true life, the plots are more extreme. If published as fiction, they would read as ridiculously far-fetched. Crime writers shine a light on the worst of human behaviour to give perspective to the best. I'm so pleased to accept this Ned Kelly Award and to thank the fine folk at ABC Books and HarperCollins for their belief and support. They are class acts all. Special thanks are due to the readers of True Crime. Thank you.
Congratulations, Brett. All right, so our next award is for Best International Crime Fiction. Now, this is only the second year this award has run, which is exciting enough. What's more exciting is it kind of gives us an opportunity to highlight some really cool reads from across the pond. So I'm very, very excited about this. Presenting the award for Best International Crime Fiction is Sarah McDouling. Now, she's a category manager at Booktopia. She has been reviewing books for Booktopia for nearly 10 years, and crime is one of her favourite genres to read and review. Now, personally, I can tell you can trust Sarah's judgment because I did a little bit of a Google search and she gave No Way Child a really good review. So you can trust anything she says. Take it away, Sarah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honoured to present the shortlist for the 2021 Ned Kelly Award for Best International Crime Fiction. The shortlisted titles this year are The Guest List by Lucy Foley, a gripping, twisty murder mystery thriller published by HarperCollins. The Secret of Strangers by Charity Norman, a compelling, tense and heartfelt crime drama published by Allen and Unwin. Take Me Apart by Sarah Sleeger, a spellbinding novel of psychological suspense published by Text. We Begin at the End by Chris Whitaker, a powerful and utterly absorbing crime novel about the lengths we will go to keep our family safe. Published by Allen and Unwin. Broken by Don Winslow, a riveting collection of 5 short crime novels published by HarperCollins. And the winner is We Begin at the End by Chris Whittaker, published by Allen and Unwin. Congratulations to Chris and to Allen and Unwin.
Oh my God, We Begin at the End has won the Ned Kelly International Crime Award. There's a sentence I didn't think I'd ever get to say. I haven't stopped smiling since I found out. I'm absolutely delighted, over the moon. There's a few people I need to say thank you to. I won't keep you very long. Firstly, and most importantly, thank you so much to the Australian Crime Writers Association, to the judges who voted for We Begin at the End over some truly intimidating competition. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you to my brilliant Australian publisher, Allen and Unwin, and the amazing team who've done such a wonderful job getting the book into the hands of so many readers. And obviously the Australian booksellers who have supported me so passionately. Special mention to Mel Prosser and her brilliant hand selling skills. At last count, Mel and her team in Sydney have sold nearly 400 copies, so I'm in scary amounts of debt to them. My editors in the UK and US, Catherine and Amy, who worked tirelessly on this book for a very long time. It simply wouldn't exist without them. Same goes for the team at Bonnier and Henry Holt. Catherine, my agent at Curtis Brown, my foreign publishers and editors who have just thrown everything at this book. You know, I'm in awe of their skills. This book was born from a difficult time in my own life, and it's been almost 20 years in the making. So to receive this kind of recognition almost leaves me speechless. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations, Chris. Okay, now it is time for the award for Best Crime Fiction. I never really won anything growing up as a kid. It's actually not true. I once won a 4th place ribbon, which I didn't realize was a thing, for a running race that had 4 people in it. That I'm not making that up. That is as tragic as it sounds. So you can imagine how excited and thrilled and honored I was when I won the Ned Kelly Award last year for Best Crime Fiction for The Wife and the Widow. It really was an absolute career highlight for me. So the opportunity to come back this year and present it to the next winner is just really, I'm really, really thankful for that. So let's just get into it. Here are the nominations for Best Crime Fiction. The Good Turn by Dervla McTiernan. Detective Inspector Cormac Riley is banished to a tiny town on the west coast of Ireland, filing paperwork on a closed murder case. But something doesn't add up. Consolation by Gary Disher. Small-town police officer Paul Hirschhausen knows how things can escalate. Families under pressure, financial problems, but it's always a surprise when the killing starts. Gathering Dark by Candace Fox. An electrifying thriller set in Los Angeles and introducing a new and decidedly unconventional team of detectives. The Survivors by Jane Harper. A standalone novel set on the Tasmanian coast. Kieran Elliott's life changed forever when a reckless mistake led to devastating consequences. When She Was Good by Michael Robotham. Forensic psychologist Cyrus Haven believes the truth will set Evie Cormac free, only to disturb a hornet's nest of corrupt and powerful people. White Throat by Sarah Thornton. Disgraced former lawyer Clementine Jones is trying to outrun her past. Then a body is found and Clem's world is turned upside down. Suicide? Not likely. Tell Me Lies by J.P. Pomare. Psychologist Margot Scott has a picture-perfect life, but on a warm spring morning on a busy train platform, Margot slams into the back of one of her clients and he falls in front of the train. A Testament of Character by Solari Gentle, a Roland Sinclair mystery. In fear for his life, American millionaire Daniel Cartwright changes his will, appointing his old friend Roland Sinclair as his executor. All right, now, drum roll. The award for Best Crime Fiction 2021 goes to Consolation by Gary Disher.
Hello, I'm Gary Disher, and I was thrilled to learn that my 3rd Hirsch novel, Consolation, has won the 2021 Best Crime Fiction Award in the annual Ned Kelly Awards for Australian Crime Writing. And such an impressive lineup of shortlisted titles too. I was in excellent company. I didn't think I stood a chance, in fact. My congratulations to my fellow writers and to all those in the other categories. Special thanks go to the Australian Crime Writers Association, who for years now have tirelessly and generously given of their time to promote Australian crime writing, to keep the Ned Kelly Awards alive, to help emerging writers and so on. I can feel you at my back looking out for me and my fellow writers. Likewise, Text Publishing, my publisher, and my very canny editor, Mandy Brett. You've all helped me to become a better writer. It was said some time ago that Australian crime writing was a fad, that it would soon die out, but that's not the case. We're finding an increasing international market for Australian crime writing. New writers are coming through all the time. Established writers are pushing up their boundaries. Booksellers, reviewers, readers, festivals, they're all taking an interest in Australian crime writing. And so they should, because I think crime writing in general tells us about the world we live in. It explores social and moral issues. It explores human nature. It's not to be discarded lightly, I don't think. My thanks to everybody involved, and just a note to say that with Christmas coming up in a few months' time and any upcoming birthday, why not buy an Australian crime title for a loved one? Thank you.
Congratulations, Gary. Well, that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thanks to the members of the Australian Crime Writers Association who entered. We had a record number of entries this year, by the way, 149, which is amazing. Special congratulations to everyone who made the shortlists. Congratulations to the winners. Everyone mentioned tonight is amazing. Thank you to our sponsor, Booktopia. And if I can leave you with one thing until next year, if you start to have fantasies of murdering someone, don't murder that person, just write it down, turn it into a book, and maybe you'll be back here next year to win an award. Also, please support the Australian Crime Writers Association and become a member. Thanks, everyone. It's been fun.